y'all. How's everybody? Somebody earlier told me that they like the accent, so I figured I'm just going to roll with it, you know. Let's see. So my name is Jeremiah White. I'm with the University of Alabama. I'm a programmer analyst senior, and we purchased Argos in 2012, but we've really started most of the development in 2013, as you mentioned. So today we're going to go over what led us to purchase Argos, what got us into the market for a reporting solution, and then what led us to choose Argos. Some of the systems that we're integrating Argos with kind of outside Banner, because I think a lot of times you see demonstrations of how Argos is integrated with Banner, which is very good. It's a very good tool for doing that, but we're going to share a couple of applications that aren't Banner to see how you can integrate dashboards and the API with other systems. And then how we took this new product called Argos and how we kind of spread the adoption rate across campus. So what led us to choose Argos? We previously had business objects, which is simply the server-side component to Crystal Reports. So you would develop a Crystal Reports solution on your workstation, on your laptop, your desktop, and then you would upload it to the business object server. And we used this process for about a decade, maybe even more. And everything was fine up until about Internet Explorer version, I think, 8 or 9, in which case we could no longer execute reports from business objects, and that became a real big problem. So we tried to figure out what the problem was internally. We weren't successful, so we reached out to SAP and we said, hey, we need to enroll some of your help. Can you help us figure out why we can't do it through IE? Because as many of you probably know, it's kind of hard and it's difficult to say, hey, all of our users now need to use Firefox or Chrome. Like it should just work, right? So we enlisted the help of SAP, but they weren't very successful either. And unfortunately, even when we did integrate their help, they kept charging the wrong university. They would charge the University of Alabama Huntsville or the University of Alabama Birmingham. Well, that's not the University of Alabama, and so there's some issues there. So whenever we could get help, they couldn't bill it right, and it wasn't that successful anyways. So that put us in the market for a new reporting solution. And we knew that Evisions, we were already familiar with a lot of their products, and particularly with their support, because we had IntelliCheck and Form Fusion already. We'd been using it for our payroll system and many other form systems like W-2s and many other things I'm not involved with, but we just knew that Evisions was great. And we knew they had this product called Argos, so we decided to give it a shot. So our registrar actually purchased it for the use of the university, and so we've taken it from there. So now let's talk about some of the systems that we integrate Argos with. These are the majority of the systems that we integrate Argos with, and the big one there is obviously Banner, but there's also many others. But specifically today, I want to talk about our e-learning platform, which is Blackboard Learn, OnBase, which is our content management system, somebody over there, and then Talisma, which is our CRM. So we're going to cover two different use cases and how we integrate Argos with e-learning, our e-learning platform called Blackboard. So I'm sure many of your institutions encounter this problem where you have several different students and their final exam time comes. Students who are scheduled for classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they might take their final exam on Tuesday, 8 a.m. versus a lot of other students might be scheduled for Wednesday classes, and so their final exams might be scheduled for Tuesday at 3 p.m. And what that does is it causes server overload, basically, on our e-learning platforms. Even if it's not e-learning, even if it's not digital, you have to deal with class space allocation, right? Because you can't have thousands of students crowd into a particular classroom at the same time. So, but e-learning, the same challenges arise with e-learning, because if you're scheduled to have 10,000 people access the server at the same time, but your server resources only allocated for 9,000, a lot of your students are encounter timeout issues, connectivity issues, and they can't complete their final exams. And so we use Argos here to query Banner to see which students were enrolled in certain classes to determine their final exam times. And from those counts, we have two options. We can either take it to the administrative staff and say, hey, we've got a lot of people overcrowded Tuesday at 2 p.m. Can we maybe shift some final exams around? Or the second option is we can take it to Blackboard Learn and we can say, hey, we're going to need some extra server space for this particular time. And of course, we'd have to purchase it, but at least we can say, hey, we need more resources so our students don't encounter timeouts and mess up their final exams. The second case is user activity counts. So the way that our contract works with Blackboard Learn is by seat counts. And so if we're scheduled 10,000 e-learning students and we have 10,000 people enrolled in distance education classes, then you would think, well, that's simple math. You need 10,000 seats for your e-learning platform. But that's not necessarily true, because of those 10,000, maybe only 8,000 are actually using it. And we don't want to purchase extra seats that are unnecessary. And at the time, Blackboard Learn did not have a reporting solution that gave us that activity feed. They might now, but at the time that we actually needed that report, they didn't. So we use Argos to query the Blackboard Learn servers to get that information. Secondly is our Telisma CRM. This screenshot is a real-time screenshot of one of our dashboards that our recruiters use out in the field. And this is used via the web viewer. So our recruiters have their iPads, and their iPads are connected to their, the 4G, LTE, AT&T services, so they can connect to our Argos server from anywhere in the country that they'd like. They pull up this dashboard, and it allows them to specify how they're going to adjust their marketing, where they're going to go. They can adjust all these parameters on the fly without having to return back to home base or their apartment or even the car. They can just sit there right in the high school gymnasium and figure out how they're going to change some stuff around. OnBase, which is our document management system. There's three things I want to cover here. FERPA data, obviously you've got to keep it secure. You want to see who has access to FERPA data. You want to determine if they still need access to FERPA data. So we use Argos to see who all has access to transcripts. Secondly, we use it to have a count of processed transcripts by employee. So the registrar has got this kind of sick game that they play. Who can process the most amount of transcripts per day? And so we use Argos to query those counts. And I think they're using a gauge type. You saw it in the previous presentation. And so whoever wins, wins something. I don't know, but and then lastly, in regard to OnBase, is the list of students with missing documents. So when a student, before they're admitted, we have to have certain applications or certain documentation, as you're all aware, such as their application, their vaccination records, transcripts, things like that. And what Argos allows us to do is it says, hey, Jeremiah was recently admitted, or he's trying to get admitted, enrolled, but he's missing his vaccinations. And so we can create Argos reports to basically say many different things. You can create a bursted task to say, hey, Jeremiah, you're missing your vaccination records. You need to, so we can create a bursted email task that will contact each student individually and say, hey, you need to submit your vaccination records. Or we can create another bursted task to reach out to staff and give them all of the telephone numbers of everyone that's missing particular documentation, and they can reach out to them personally. So, and again, OnBase, at the time, they didn't have any reporting solutions that allowed us to do this. I think they might have a reporting solution that you can purchase, but we just use Argos because we already had Argos to do that for us. This particular dashboard is used by one of our data stewards. She is the manager for several different systems on campus. She's a very technical user, but she doesn't necessarily have the time to deal with all the technical processes involved with all of her applications. So she leaves a lot of the access control up to OIT, which is where I'm at. But she developed this dashboard, and as you can see, I want to do the laser, hopefully I won't go to the next slide. So that little white box at the very top, she can put in the employee's ID and click run, and every one of these 5 boxes you see connects to a completely different application, a completely different database. So the top left one might be Telisma, the second one is orientation system, the second one on the left checks if they've done their FERPA training. So you put in the employee ID and it checks all these different systems to see if they have access to these things. This is, particularly this is useful 2 times. The onboarding process for new employees. So whenever a new hire comes on, she can say, hey, Jim, he needs access to all these things, so she can go back and she can check it once every 2 days and get that access as needed. And also when people leave, because even though we have a central IT way of canceling accounts, as you all do probably, it's just best practice to go ahead and clean up all of those systems as well individually. And this dashboard makes that very easy to do. So how we help spread the adoption across campus, and really we've done that through 2 ways. One is through the API, which is this slide, and then the next slide is through a user group, a campus user group. So in regard to the API is basically a way to access Argos dashboards and reports and items without actually having the end user to have an Argos account. So you can call Argos applications and reports via web page links, script executions through Atomic or AppWorks or UC4. You can embed charts in other web pages. So the API really takes it to the next level in terms of how you can access many different users even though they don't have Argos accounts. Secondly, thousands of students at UA, they use Argos every day without even knowing it. One example is we have an enrollment verification report on our student portal. We use Luminous. So our Luminous portal has a link that says enrollment verification. So any one of our 37,000 students can go into their MyBama page or their student portal page, they click a link, and they get a report that's unique to them, even though those 37,000 students, they don't have an account in Argos. And then, so basically it just reduces the number of user accounts in the server, but not just students. We have several faculty and staff that they don't really need an Argos account either, so they can use API. And one of our future projects, based on the conference on Saturday, the Evisions conference, we're going to do a lot of things with the API and the web viewer API and embedding things in iframes. So particularly deans can come in and see material that's very specific to them without them having an Argos account. And this is probably the most effective way that we've seen to help spread the adoption of Argos across campus, and that's through a campus user group. We get together once every 2 weeks, and we discuss things like application notes. Like, for instance, Argos 5.0 is about to be released, so we're going to be covering that like crazy in these upcoming user group meetings. And so it's kind of my responsibility on campus to gather all the information from Evisions to see what's going on with Argos, and then I distribute it across campus. And this is the perfect platform to do that, is through these user group meetings. We also talk about issues, bugs. There's not many bugs, but whenever there are, this is the perfect platform to do that. We share ideas, we share development ideas and tools, and what this really does is this gives many, particularly new departments on campus that are just onboarding with Argos, they can see the possibilities of Argos rather than trying to just come up with ideas themselves and trying to hit all these roadblocks. Because I would say it's a complicated tool, but it is a technical tool, so you need to know what you're doing. And if you, rather than tackling that by yourself, you can utilize the things that have already been done on your campus, and that's what this user group does for us. And that's really all I've got. So just to summarize, we purchased replaced business objects. We were fully migrated off of our business object server late last year. We integrate it with many different systems, such as our e-learning platform, CRM, our document management, and the security auditing dashboard. And to help spread the adoption rate, we utilize the API and the campus user groups. And finally, do we recommend Argos? And I mean, that's an obvious yes. I mean, as long as you have somebody that is willing to train themselves in Argos and have everyone know that person on campus to reach out to them, Argos can really do almost anything you'd like it to do. Thank y'all very much.